Have you ever pondered the significant impact of demographic changes on the course of history? One compelling example is the Arab Belt, a term that refers to a demographic shift and Arabization process implemented by the Syrian government in 1974. The Arab Belt was an audacious plan that took place in the Al-Jazira region, specifically in Al-Hasaka Governorate, along the border strip between Syria and Turkey. This region, predominantly Kurdish, was targeted for a significant demographic change. The Syrian government seized agricultural lands owned by Kurdish tribes, farmers, and agas, and granted them to Arab farmers brought from Raqqa and Aleppo after their lands were submerged by the waters of Lake Euphrates Dam. These displaced farmers came to be known as Al-Mughmorin, or the submerged ones. Stretching over a length of 275 kilometers and reaching a depth of 15 kilometers at its farthest point, the Arab Belt extended from the city of Derek, also known as Al-Malakiyah, to the city of Sarakaniye, or Ras Al Ain. This region, locally known as the Lands of the Ten Line, is fertile and agriculturally rich, and all its villages were inhabited by Kurdish tribes, which have kinship ties with Kurdish tribes on the Turkish side of the border. The process began in June 1974, when the Syrian government started preparing lists of Arab farmers who would be transferred to Al-Hasaka Governorate from the city of Al-Tabqa. The transfer operations commenced under Decree No. 521 issued by the Regional Command of the Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party. The Syrian government undertook all expenses related to the transfer of the Arab farmers to Al-Hasaka Governorate, and the cost of building villages for them along the border strip. Jaber Bajbouj and Abdullah Al-Ahmad, who were members of the Regional Command of the Ba'ath Party, and the direct supervisors of the Arab Belt Project in Al-Hasaka Governorate, set up their headquarters at the Agricultural Scientific Research Center in the village of Himo, near the city of Kamishli. They directed the security forces and government agencies in the governorate to implement all measures related to the transfer and settlement of the Al-Mughmorin. Initially, the government placed the displaced Arab farmers in tents erected around the seized agricultural lands and provided them with all necessary equipment and supplies to complete the construction of the villages. The tribes that were relocated to Al-Hasaka Governorate during this operation included Al-Bushaban, Ajil, Al-Jabat, Al-Nasir, Al-Amir, Al-Basra, Al-Hawiwan, and Al-Mughlazan, all of which belonged to the tribes of Al-Wilda and owned villages on both sides of the Euphrates River in Raqqa Governorate. The Syrian government granted lands to the incoming Arab tribes based on the rainfall ratio. The granted areas ranged from 150 dunams starting from the city of Derek and increased up to 300 dunams in the city of Sarakaniye. The total agricultural lands seized from the Kurdish farmers and granted to the displaced Arab farmers exceeded 3 million dunams along the border strip. The number of Arab families that benefited from these agricultural lands was more than 4,000, with a total human count of over 40,000, accounting for about 6% of the total population of Al-Hasaka Governorate. Mohammed Talb Hilal, an officer in the Syrian Ministry of Interior, played a significant role in this project. He prepared a study titled A Study on Al-Jazira Governorate from the National, Social, and Political Aspects, which discussed the transformations that the Kurdish cause had undergone over a century, and the regional influences on the cause. In summary, the Arab Belt was a significant demographic shift, an Arabization process implemented by the Syrian government in Al-Hasaka Governorate in 1974. The project aimed to change the demographic composition of the region by displacing Kurdish residents and replacing them with Arab farmers. The process was carried out under the supervision of members of the Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party, and the displaced Arab farmers were provided with all necessary resources for their resettlement. The Arab Belt Project has left an indelible impact on the region's demographic composition and has become an important chapter in the history of the region.